Good morning guys, and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another Vlogmas video. Today I wanted to talk about South America. Now when I first told my friends and family that I was going to South America, they said, why are you going to South America? You're going to be robbed, you're going to be murdered, you're going to be raped, there's drug lords, everyone's a criminal, blah blah blah. And I did not care. I was like, oh, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know, we'll go and we'll find out. Yeah. So in this video I wanted to cover off the top 10 reasons I was told not to go to South America and why they were wrong. I was told not to go to Bolivia because Bolivia is the poorest country in South America and that it is crime-ridden and not safe. I went to Bolivia and it was my favourite country in all of South America. La Paz is a stunning little city. It is so far removed from anything Western. You feel so remote, like you're actually travelling, because you cannot, there's no supermarket, there's no Walmart, there's no Target, there's no supermarket in general. They buy their groceries at the market on Sunday, which was a challenge for traveling, like in terms of food, but it was such a fun experience. And then we did overnight buses, another thing people told me not to do, down to the salt flats, and we did a tour of the salt flats for a day and went out to Cactus Island and saw the vast, like, salt flats. And it was amazing, and I think it was one of my favourite days of my entire trip. And if I had listened to the haters, I would not have gone. And so that's why I always encourage people to go and experience things themselves, because the people were so nice. I never felt threatened. The traditional women just want to be like left alone. I think it's interesting to see white people because white people aren't that common there. It was so much fun. Would do it again. People told me that I would not be able to eat anything because I don't eat meat, which is not a lie. But I do encourage you guys to try the local cuisine. The guinea pig is the national cuisine in Peru. Chile has, actually everywhere in South America had empanadas, and I managed to find vegan empanadas, which was very, very good. Yeah, they were nicer than the real ones. And then my favourite food of all time, which makes me sound like the most basic bitch ever, is that in Brazil they had acai bowls, and they were so much more different than anything I've had in a Western country. They taste so much better, and I don't know if it's because they're fresher or not, but that's the national dish in Brazil apart from Brazilian barbecue. And the Brazilian barbecue was interesting as well. The people I went with talked about how that was, and so the local cuisine is amazing and you should definitely go and try it. And you'll be surprised, even if you're vegetarian, vegan, whatever you need to be, there's still many options. I was told not to travel to Peru or Bolivia because of the altitude, which was a source of anxiety, and I would be lying if I'd say I didn't feel the altitude, but the altitude, it can be managed. It's not the end of the world. I've been through worse. If you've had barley belly, you've been through worse. The altitude, I took Diamox, I think it's called, the pill that helps you acclimatize, and if you stay hydrated. So what I did wrong, and this is not on anybody, this is on me. Diamox's mode of action is on the kidneys. I was not drinking a lot of water because I wasn't around public bathrooms all the time, and so my kidneys started hurting because they had nothing to mode of action on. So if you stay hydrated and you follow the rules properly, you'll be fine, and you'll be able to and the only thing is that you might get out of breath a little easier, which is fine. You eat a big breakfast and you get out of breath, that's whatever. Iguazu Falls. This one, to be fair, no one said not to go for this reason, but Iguazu Falls is a reason to go. It is on the Brazil side and the Argentina side. I was told not to go because it is a nightmare crossing the border, which is not true, but I was with a tour, so I didn't have to deal with any of it. So organize a tour if you're going to do it, so then they just have to take care of it and you just sit back and relax. But Iguazu Falls was stunning and probably my favourite waterfall I've ever been. South America is such a diverse landscape and it's amazing, and I love it so much. I was told not to party in Brazil because I would get drugged or raped or kidnapped in a cab or whatever. I went on a boat party instead. I did go out at night, but they were just like, it was, clubbing in Brazil was like clubbing anywhere. There's no real risk. You got the same risk of going and getting drugged anywhere else in the world. But I did this boat party with people I knew anyway, and it was so fun to go swimming in the water. It was warm, they had barbecue, they had salad, they had music blaring. It was so fun, and that was right at the end of my trip, and so that was such a good end to a trip. That was my second last day, I think it was, or my last day. It was in Brazil. People say don't go up Sugarloaf Mountain, go up Christ the Redeemer. I think that's wrong. Definitely go up Sugarloaf Mountain at sunset. It was the most beautiful sunset I've ever seen in my life. I went up Christ the Redeemer as well, and the view was okay. But the thing is, you want to see Christ the Redeemer, so when you're on Sugarloaf you can see him, but if you're on Christ the Redeemer, he's not in your view at all because he's behind you. So if you can make the choice, Sugarloaf Mountain, Christ the Redeemer, it took us 3 hours to get up there, and we were on an express tour thing, so I can only imagine how long it would take to journey up there and back down if you were not on an organised tour. So prioritise Sugarloaf Mountain, and it's cheaper than Christ the Redeemer. I was told, don't go into the jungle, don't go into the Amazon, you'll get attacked by snakes, spiders, monkeys, whatever. So I stayed in a jungle lodge. So I stayed in a jungle lodge in the Peruvian rainforest in the Amazon. And it was completely open. There was no wall to the back room, and they had like nets around the beds to protect you from the mosquitoes. And it was this wonderful luxury lodge, and we got to go through the Amazon on a night walk and see all these animals. Yes, I saw a tarantula. Yes, I had a mental breakdown, but that was because I put myself in that situation. If you don't want to see it, I shouldn't have gone. I was peer pressured. Don't be peer pressured, kids. Didn't see a snake. No, they give you a safe to lock all your food up so the monkeys don't come and rip up your bag. And there's a hammock in the room to chill out in. I even went kayaking on the Amazon River, which had piranhas in it, and they were fine. There was no issues, no one had any problems. I think that people are very scared of the unknown, and they just expect the worst. And it's not, it's so fine. It was so fun. To be able to say I kayaked on the Amazon is amazing. Don't go to Argentina. It's boring. It's just like Europe. It is such an amalgamation of different European cultures. It's bizarre. The food is Italian, the architecture is French, and the language is Spanish. It's so fascinating, and I loved the little ball of culture that it was. And one of the best nights I had in Argentina was doing tango lessons, which we did in a class, and then I went and saw a tango show, and it was so fun, and they had such wonderful wine, which was amazing, and it wasn't even expensive. All of South America is so cheap, and it's such a fun experience. I would do it again in a heartbeat. It's one of my favourite trips I've ever done. Don't go to Brazil, you'll get robbed. Don't go to a favela, you'll get robbed. So for those of you who don't know what a favela is, it's basically government, no, not even government housing, it's less than that. It's when Rio de Janeiro has basically pushed all of the poor people to the sides of the city, and they've built these houses into the sides of the city. So it's like this big wall of like shacks and little houses, and you can do tours through them and go through and see the lower socioeconomic people. At first I didn't want to do this, I'll be honest. It wasn't a fear thing. I felt it seemed a bit pretentious to walk through as a Western white person, to be like, oh wow, look at these poor people. Oh, how could never? And like these people are just living their lives and you're like mocking them. But it wasn't like that at all. You go in there and they're happy to have you. They like having Westerners in there because we'll buy their stuff, and there's bakeries and you can spend money and they'll put shows on and you give them some little bit of money. The downside is that the favela is run by drug lords. So, yeah. 100% do not do it by yourself. Do not go in there without a tour. You will die. I wish I had footage of this, which I don't, but because you weren't allowed. When you're walking around, it's very narrow and all the buildings are on you, and drug lords are walking around. And when I say drug lords, they have AK-47s, 2 of them slinged over their back, and a belt of grenades, and they're just like bustling past you, going to get someone, and like pushing you out the way and stuff, and like you don't want to get in their way. And so it's very off-putting to be around someone with that level of ammo who you know is a criminal who could literally shoot you and rob you. No reason. There's no need for them, you know, so there's no, at least if I'm in the middle of Paris and there's a military uniform with a massive gun, I know he's had training, I know he's got some rules to follow. These guys don't have any rules to follow. They could have thrown a grenade at me if they wanted to. Would have been dumb, but they could have. So that was very nerve-wracking. However, it was such a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I always think it's good to understand everyone's point of view. I can now sympathize with, currently at the moment they just elected their new president who has been elected to Donald Trump, and so I feel like I have more of a rounded opinion on the people and the country because I was able to experience the wealthy and the poor side of Rio. But 100% do it with the tour. I thought I was going to die because one of the guys in our tour was an idiot. Promise me you won't do it alone. Like, they will actually kill you. Last but not least, I was told don't go to South America. Machu Picchu's a hard hike. You won't be able to do it. The altitude. Machu Picchu, I can't even describe. It was the most amazing day of any trip I've ever been on out of all my 40 countries. It is stunning, and I did the hike, so when you're hiking for that long and you finally get to the top of Sungate and you see Machu Picchu, the impact, and oh, there's something about it. Like, I was worried I'd hyped it up too much, but no, Machu Picchu was absolutely stunning. We had good weather. I hiked it and then I stayed in the town below in Aguas Calientes. I hiked it and had and we stayed in the town below in Aguas Calientes, and then we came back up the next day, and I got so much more joy out of it the day I hiked it than the day I just came up. Like, if you can hike it, you can even do different levels of hiking. You don't have to do the full 4 days. You can do 1 day, whatever you want. But absolutely amazing. Even with all the people there, it was stunning. There was traditional Peruvians everywhere. There was llamas everywhere. It's very well looked after in that there's no people selling anything on it. Like, it's well looked after. I would honestly do it again. That's one of my goals in my long-term life, is to run a tour and take a bunch of you guys with me and hike Machu Picchu so I can share it with someone else, because it's just my heart. And there you guys have it. Those were my top 10 reasons why I was told not to go to South America and why they were wrong. Tell me in the comments below if you've been to South America and what you thought of it. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and remember to hit subscribe so I can see you tomorrow for another Vlogmas video. Bye.